All right, I see on my clock it is 5:01 p.m. and I want to welcome you to Capital Corridor's annual business plan update. This is our public workshop for our draft business plan, and where we invite everyone here to make comments and ask questions. We do have a presentation set up with a few different panelists from the Capital Corridor staff, and I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight and invite you to participate in our workshop. Once again, just to make sure that you're in the right place, this is the Capital Corridor Annual Business Plan Update Public Workshop. And next slide, please. I'm Priscilla Kalugden, and I'm the Marketing Communications Manager for Capital Corridor, and I will be emceeing tonight. For today's event, I want to remind everybody that all of the participant cameras are turned off and you'll be muted as well. We also want to remind you that the workshop is being recorded so that we can post it to YouTube at a later time. And if you have questions, which we encourage you to submit them, please use the Q&A feature, which is located below on the screen for your questions and comments. And we will try to address them live or after the workshop. If you have a technical issue or some other question, you could, for the seminar itself and the Zoom stream, then you can ask that in the chat. And we will have someone posting links there as well to help guide you in some of the content that we have today. Next slide. All right, for our annual business plan process, we do have our draft business plan, which is available for public review on our Capital Corridor website. We prepare this business plan every year for our state funding requirements. It outlines what we plan to do for the next 2 years. So it's every 2 years we have our plan put together for this. And we present it annually with each update for the year. We have 3 public online workshops this year, and this is the final one for 2022. We will be accepting comments from the public on our business plan, and those will be due tomorrow, Friday the January 21st. All of your comments will be read and answered, and we will take care of all of them, and all of them will be presented to our board of directors, and they will see them as well. The final draft will be presented for adoption at our February 16th board meeting. Next slide. All right. The business plan covers a number of topics in depth, and some of them we will touch on tonight with different panelists. These are some of the topics that are covered in the business plan, and we will be going through a good chunk of these this evening. Next slide. But before we look ahead to what we have for our business plan, I wanted to share a little bit about where we stand today for Capital Corridor and some of the key performance markers that we have before you right here. These are the things that we measure ourselves against. And we have our ridership, which was a 354,000 for FY21. This is a fraction of what it was pre-COVID. Back in FY19, we had nearly 1.8 million riders. So this is definitely a much fraction of what we have in the past. We did have a very good mark for on-time performance, which was 90%. And the other markers here, revenue and fare box, were also a fraction of what they were pre-COVID. But we are going to be working on these in the coming months so that we can see an improvement. And I just want to make sure, I did get a message that I was signed out, so I hope that everybody can see me. So signed out on another device. So nod your head, panelists. Okay, good. Thank you. Just want to make sure, that was tripping me up a little bit. Thank you, Amy. Next slide, please. All right, just to continue on with our performance markers, in 2021, we were able to resume our onboard surveys. In 2020, of course, we were not able to do these in-person surveys, so we were very eager to get out and learn a little bit more about who was riding our train during 2021 and what they were doing. So we learned a lot. As expected, a lot of our commuter type travelers and business travelers, those ticket purchases went down for the monthlies and 10 rides. As you can see, it's a much smaller portion than it would be in a normal year. And round trip and one-way tickets went up. We have our family and friends and leisure and recreation categories grew to be a much larger portion of our ridership, but our mode split pretty much stayed the same with years past. So that was also very interesting for us to see. But this gives you a little bit of a flavor of where we stood for FY21. And we are working on the final touches of our FY21 annual performance report, which will be posted to give you a look back at how we did this past year as well. That'll be posted in the coming weeks. Next slide, please. And with that, I want to introduce Leo Sanchez. He is our Deputy Managing Director at Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority, and he will be presenting our forecasted ridership, sort of where we are stand today and looking ahead. Take it away, Leo.
Great, thanks, Priscilla. First, I want to welcome everyone for being here with us today. And just to give you a brief recap of where we've been, since the bottom of the pandemic, we've made some steady and modest gains incrementally up until this point. As you all know, we've had a surge of COVID with the latest variant of Omicron, and it has affected our recovery efforts in the last couple of weeks. As you can see with the forecast ridership ahead, we are looking forward to having many more riders in the months and years to come. And one of the things that we will be talking about is our projected increased pre-pandemic service levels. So we're very anxious to get back to those high numbers that Priscilla talked about. Getting back to the 1.8 million plus riders a year is really in our vision. So we definitely want to get back to those levels. Next slide. And to give you a quick recap of where we have been, for those of you that have joined us and have continued to ride with us, first of all, thank you for doing that. And second of all, you can see on the left-hand side, pre-pandemic service levels. We operated 30 weekday trains and 22 weekend trains. Immediately following the shelter-in-place order back in 2020, March of 2020, we significantly cut back our service down to 10 trips every day of the week. And as you can see on moving on the timeline on the right-hand side, we're currently now up to 22 weekday trains and 18 weekend trains. And in the submission that we are going to be presenting to our board in this upcoming February board meeting, we're planning to present a plan to get back to pre-pandemic service levels, which were 30 weekday and 22 weekend trains. So very exciting. We're really anxious to talk about that plan with you all. Next slide. So just to break down what that what those service levels look like, you can see our current reduced service levels. We're operating for the most part between Oakland and San Jose, what we operated pre-pandemic, with the exception of weekdays. We're running 12 weekday trains. Weekend trains, we actually have a full restored plan. And then Auburn, all the way from Auburn down to Sacramento, we're running the same as we did pre-pandemic. And we are planning our full restoration, as you can see on the right-hand side. So that'll show you the difference between weekday and weekend for the segment between Sacramento and Oakland. Next slide. So I do want to talk about some of the challenges that we're going to be looking and working closely on. As you all have seen, COVID has taken us to some serious ups and downs, and we're continuing to look at that. So the four key things that we're going to be monitoring in the months to come are going to be, first of all, the public health conditions. We want to make sure that our riders are safe, the staff that's working to provide the service is safe, So we're going to be looking closely at how COVID is evolving in the next coming weeks and months. The second key element behind that is making sure that we have the staffing that we need to support those service levels. One of the things that we're all looking at across the nation is that we have a very, very, very challenging job market. So that is one of the things that Amtrak is looking at, and it's working towards ensuring that we have the workforce that we're going to need in order to go back to the pre-pandemic service levels. The next one is the equipment availability. The San Joaquins with the state of California has procured equipment that should be coming to them this coming spring. And what that's going to do is that it's going to free up the additional equipment that we need in order to go back up to the pre-pandemic service levels. And so we're going to be looking at that and trying to work closely with San Joaquins and see what the timeline looks like. And then the last and a critical element is looking at our funding sources. We want to make sure that we have the funding and we're using the state's dollars appropriately to make sure that we're able to do a full pre-pandemic service restoration. Next slide. And on the health and safety front, one of the things that we did really quickly after the start of the pandemic was enhanced cleaning and safety procedures. We do that daily on each one of our equipments when it comes into servicing. And we're going to continue to do that throughout this difficult time that we're all experiencing, and even beyond that. We're going to continue looking at exploring improved sanitation technology. This actually, we had a good question that came up yesterday about the technology. And so some of the technology that we're exploring could be filtration technology. We've explored a variety of options. Some of those were high MERV filtration, similar to what ART actually uses. We've looked into ultraviolet technology and blue filter technology by Wabtec. So the state of California is working closely with us. Caltrans is working closely with us to look at those options. So that is still being explored today. And we're looking forward to hopefully having something promising in the next few months. And then the third is that as you're riding with us, you'll find that you still are required to wear masks just as you are virtually everywhere you go. We're going to be ensuring that we follow the federal mask mandate. And more than anything, we want to make sure that all of our riders are safe and our staff is safe when they're operating the trains. Next slide. All right, and I'm actually going to hand it over to Joel. Joel is our chief engineer that works on all of our projects. So Joel, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. So I'm Joel Cox. I am the engineering officer for the Capital Corridor, and so I'm most knowledgeable about all things that we plan and build. But I will tell you here a little bit about our safety and security initiatives. We have, unfortunately, even with the reduced service that we're currently operating due to the COVID impacts, we're still seeing considerable number of safety incidents along our line that affect our service, both in terms of delaying trains and also causing injuries and fatalities to people along the tracks. So we're continuing to work hard to reach out and try to do things that we can to improve that situation. We are working with the California Operation Lifesaver organization to help educate the traveling public and other people that interface, that walk or drive around near our trains, to try to reduce the number of collisions that we see along our line. We are continuing to work and increasing our work at right-of-way cleanup. We find that some people are using the right-of-way for a dumping ground and also for living space. And these activities we've found are not safe around the area of moving trains. And so we continuously work. It's a continuous problem, and we continuously work to clean up the right-of-way. Also putting up security barriers and fences along the right-of-way to keep unauthorized people out. And we have been working with the Union Pacific Railroad to establish additional staff of what they call special agents. These are people who are sworn officers who can patrol the railroad right of way and make sure that unauthorized people are not there. And in the event there are incidents, they respond and help get trains moving again. And finally, we are also working on finding ways to improve grade crossings to make them even safer than they are today. We understand that there's a considerable increase in funding coming down the pipeline, both state and federal, that we are looking forward to using in order to improve the grade crossings along our line and make things more safe. Next slide, please.
Just before you continue, Joel, I just want to make sure I remind the viewers that you can drop any questions that you might have about our presentation in the Q&A box, and we will try to answer it live online.
All right. So for the on the equipment side, we're also making improvements there. We have been studying for some time now an initiative to use what's known as renewable diesel fuel for our locomotives. So this is a zero net carbon type of fuel that is available. Those studies are wrapping up, and we're hoping to begin very soon implementing this across our system, where all of our trains would operate on the renewable diesel fuel. We are working towards getting additional cars and locomotives to run our trains. That is, of course, necessary in order to increase the service back to the pre-pandemic levels. And that is coupled with the initiative of the state of California to buy new equipment. New equipment will be moving over to the San Joaquin trains, which will free up some equipment there that's exactly the same as used on the Capitol Corridor, and it will allow us to run longer and more frequent trains. Also on the equipment, we are improving the equipment with improved destination signs and LED displays on the equipment. Also refreshing the interior upholstery and working on overhaul of the truck and suspension equipment on board the cars. Next slide.
We do have a question that's come in. It says, are there plans to replace Capitol Corridor equipment?
I can actually take that one, Joel.
Yes, please.
So we're actually working very closely with Caltrans on 3 initiatives. One of them is actually what is shown here on the slide, which is the interior refresh. So we see that as a very near-term, immediate action that we want to take on the equipment. So that's, refreshing things like doing some overhaul of the carpeting, maybe some improvements to the bathrooms, things that are highly visible to the passenger experience. The second is an actual redesign, and that's thinking about your mid to longer term initiative, and this is maybe 3 years out or so, about looking what can we do that will actually improve the overall feel of the rider experience. And then the third is actually the longer term initiative, which is procurement. And we're still kind of early days in really knowing what that really will look like. Part of what makes this a challenge is that we're also looking at getting to a zero emission future. So, Joel talked about the first step, which is just, getting to fully renewable diesel, and which is, of course, still has greenhouse gases. But the next step is from that is we really want to make the leap into getting into a zero emission fleet. We don't know what that will look like exactly. There's a variety of options that are currently being studied and looked at. And so part of that will actually dictate what we're able to do on the equipment procurement. So stay tuned. There's definitely going to be more to come on that topic. And we're still kind of early days on talking about what an equipment replacement fleet would look like.
Next slide, please. All right. So near and dear to my heart is the capital improvements along the line that we're working on. We have several projects which are which will help with service reliability. In other words, keeping our trains more on time, keeping them rolling smoothly, avoiding delays. So these projects include Agnew Siding, which is located near the Santa Clara Great America Station. That will improve the ability to meet and pass trains in that single track territory. The Steege Signal Replacement Project is between Berkeley and Richmond, and will upgrade the existing signal equipment and replace 2 crossovers at that location. This is a location where we've had problems with the signal equipment having periodic failures, and we're hoping with new equipment we can reduce or eliminate those problems. Also, the new crossovers will allow higher speed, so we'll have less delays for trains that are making a crossing move from one track to another. And finally, the Davis Interlocking Signal Replacement Project is very similar to the Steege project, where we will upgrade existing signal equipment and replace crossovers for higher speed. It will also be a precursor to other planned improvements at the Davis station for replacing the boarding platforms with a safer design. Next slide, please. In the service expansion territory, we're going to have Camille tell you all about it.
Thanks, Joel. Hi, everybody. I'm Camille Tsao. I'm the Link 21 program lead for Capital Corridor. And I'm going to tell you a little more about some projects we have going on to improve service in the passenger experience. The first 2 on this list here were in our Capital Corridor Vision Plan, which had a goal of improving travel times and speeds and frequencies and overall service for our passengers. So the Sacramento to Roseville 3rd track, as the name implies, will add a 3rd track to that segment, which will enable us to increase service by 2 round trips daily in the first phase. In the second phase, we'll be able to add 7 round trips for a total of 10. And we're currently in 30% design, working with UP, and construction is slated to begin around 2024. And then the South Bay Connect project, this will greatly improve travel time for passengers traveling between Oakland and San Jose. It essentially separates passenger and freight trains, so they're running on different lines between Oakland and Newark. So this will enable us to connect with a new intermodal station at Ardenwood that will link up to transit service that's crossing the Dumbarton. So this is currently in the environmental phase, and construction is estimated to begin in the year 2027. And then third on the list, Link 21, this is the program that I'm working on. It kind of builds upon what was in our vision plan. And the core of it is a new rail crossing between Oakland and San Francisco in the Trans-Bay corridor, so indicated by the green dash line that you see on the map there. Basically, Link 21 is a multi-generational project. Like I said, it builds upon the goals of our vision plan, but it's really a unique collaboration between us and BART and the state. And the new crossing is identified in the state rail plan as a critical project that fills a gap in the passenger rail network. And so we are working with BART, the state, and other partners around the mega region because this project will also enhance the benefits of other rail projects that are happening around the region. If people can now access San Francisco and the peninsula via rail that will be quite a game changer and will increase demand for rail service all around the region. There will be other improvements that are identified as part of Link 21 in the coming years. And so you'll be hearing more about that. You can go to our website and sign up if you haven't already to stay informed. The estimated completion date of the new crossing is 2040. However, we're really hoping that there will be other improvements that we can implement leading up to that date. Next slide, please. Here's some other projects that will enhance service amenities for our passengers. The California Passenger Information Display System modernization. Doesn't actually change the displays that you see today, but it's a back-end improvement on the software and communication hardware so that the information that's being displayed is accurate and in real time. And that's going to be happening through this year. And then the California Integrated Travel Program, CAL-ITP, this is a state-led program that will essentially provide a more convenient payment system for rail all around California. And so we're going to be launching a pilot late this year or early 2023 that's really going to change the way people experience paying for their fares on Capital Corridor and other rail systems. So essentially you can pay for your fare with a smartphone or any credit card that's EMV activated. So meaning it has the computer chip from EuroPay, MasterCard, or Visa. And so we're going to start with a pilot of a small group. If you're interested, you need to sign up for our email list. If you're not on it already, we're going to be looking for people who use the service frequently. And another nice thing about CAL-ITP is that it will allow you, as if you're just kind of paying for single ride tickets, once you get to a maximum monthly pass price, it will essentially cap you at that. So you will essentially have bought a monthly pass without having to do so right up front. So there's a lot of advantages of going to this smarter fare payment system. So it's something that we're very excited about. And then the other things on this list, Wi-Fi upgrade. This is a continuous evolving program. You should be seeing an updated Wi-Fi landing page very soon. Bicycle access, we're continuing to improve bicycle storage solutions on the train. And then finally, food service, just a reminder that we do have snack packs on the trains. We have beer. We're hoping to return to full food service when it's safe to do so, but yeah, just a reminder that that's there for your convenience. And with that, if there are no questions, I'll hand it back to Priscilla.
Thank you, Camille. That is actually the snack pack is a newly designed snack pack. If you haven't been on board in a while, it's a fancy curated snack pack, if you will, compared to what we had before. I think that it has snacks for everyone in the family, if you will. So check it out next time you're on board. We put a lot of time and effort into developing that, and we totally welcome your feedback. If you hate it, if you love it, we want to know. For marketing communications in our business plan, as you can imagine, we're very busy trying to figure out our plan in terms of how we're going to grow our ridership back again and bring back some of the riders that we had before, as well as find new riders. So one of the things that's really important for us as we go forward and that we've been working on already is market research and understanding the landscape, if you will, of where our potential customers may be and where these new traffic patterns may be. We've been working with Caltrans on a market segmentation program that will help guide us in reaching some of the new markets and potential targets that we can woo back to the train, if you will, or introduce them to the train. Our loyalty programs are something that we'll be working on as well, because we really value our customers and we want to make sure that they are treated well and that they enjoy our service and that we can continue to do engagement activities just like this so we can have dialogue back and forth. As well, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary in December. I don't know if you all know that back in December 1991 is when we started our service. And from now until March 31st, we are doing a 30% off discount. And that is probably one of the heftiest discounts that we've offered for such a long period of time. So bring your friends and family on board. We would love to have you and celebrate with you our service. As we look ahead towards what we plan to do to woo passengers back, we will be relying heavily on paying attention to when destinations are opening up. We used to do lots of things with Broadway shows and museums and different kinds of partnerships, obviously with sports partnerships. But as those things open up again and larger events start to happen, we'll be doing our partnerships again with them, working on enhancing our customer experience. And as Camille mentioned earlier, we're actually going to be working a lot on preparing for the Cal ITP program, which is our new payment system that we will be introducing. And we'll be looking for people to be part of our trial, but we have to design all of that support system for it going forward. We'll focus a lot on micro markets and, of course, just building our brand awareness through the region with our normal advertising programs. But a lot of it is definitely going to be redesigned because we're trying to figure out what has changed since before the pandemic to now. A lot of people have moved around in the state and in our region, so we need to look for where our new customers are. So that's what's keeping us busy. Next slide. And that concludes our slide presentation this evening. It's been a quiet group tonight. We don't have a whole lot of questions, but I encourage you to, if you have any, to drop some in the Q&A. We are accepting comments on our draft business plan that is available on our website if you want to view it and read it. It's not too bad. I hope I did read it myself, so it's not too boring. It's pretty good. We try to keep it concise to about 30 or so pages, so it's definitely comprehensive, but also digestible. And we invite you to take a look at that. And if there's anything you have questions about or want to comment on or want to have some input on, we welcome that input. And you can submit comments online or via voicemail or via mail even. And the deadline for submission would be tomorrow, January 21st. And I see we do have a question. Oh, here we go. One question here is, will the monthly cap be available to 10 ride tickets too? A lot of those questions are still going to be worked out, but basically the model is that the more you ride, the more you save. And I think that there will be some parallel programs at first, where we're having a variety of tickets, our traditional tickets that we offer with through Amtrak.com, but also as we introduce the pay-as-you-go ticket system, or actually it's not even a ticket, it's a payment system really. We will be introducing different discount offerings through that. And one of them will be, as you go, it will get cheaper. So we are imagining that the fares will need to be restructured to address that so that we can make sure that our fares offer a nice enough discount to attract people back, and also make sense with monthly passes and 10 ride passes and things of that nature. I hope that answered your question. Are there any other questions or anything that the panelists might want to add on to what we have spoken about this evening?
Priscilla, there was a comment in the chat. I hope bus service time to trains to San Francisco from Emeryville continues. Thank you for answering our questions.
Yeah, I can expand on that one a little bit.
Thanks, Leo.
So we have continued to operate the San Francisco to Emeryville connection that connects to all of our trains currently. We are looking at ways that we can make that more efficiently. One of the things that one of the Senate bills, I believe went into effect maybe a year and a half ago, allowed us to do was actually have open door service. We actually were able to successfully do that and partner up with a second partner. We do that with Monterey Salinas, but now we were able to do that with El Dorado Transit. And so we started that last summer, and that was actually a way that we could, one, make it more efficient for really the state tax dollars in order to have instead of having a duplicative service. We chose to partner up with a transit agency that has a similar service, and for them it was a win as well. They were able to serve a market that they've been wanting to serve for some time, which was South Lake Tahoe. And then the other thing that it does is that you no longer have to have, in order to ride the bus, you no longer have to have a ticket tied up with that. So that's a really big benefit for those in the local community. So those that are just choosing to go from Placerville or from South Lake Tahoe to Sacramento can really just do that. Or if they wanted to jump on one of our trains, then they can connect to one of our trains as well. So it's a really great service. And we are looking for similar opportunities with the San Francisco and Emeryville connection. We've worked on and off with AC Transit. We both have dealt with a variety of challenges, some financial, others just the nature of how some of our policies are set up. So it's been complicated and it's been difficult to really make that partnership, but our intent is actually to eventually be able to have them provide that service. And then instead of having a duplicative service like we have today, we can still be able to connect to all of our trains, but have it in a more open door service.
Leo, we do have a question that came in our chat, and it's, will the Auburn train for commuters be put back into service? The current schedule eliminated an option and made it difficult for commuters between Sacramento and Davis.
Right. So we did change the schedule, and I know it was disruptive for a lot of folks, especially those that are working in Sacramento and even those in the Davis area. We're going to continue to look to see what options we have. I would say long term, what the goal that we have is that when we do have the Sac Roseville third track at least completed on the first phase, it'll give us the ability to have the additional 2 round trips. So what we want to do is have maybe something that's similar to what was there before, maybe something that's early, and then maybe one that's later. So it is top of mind for us, and that's something that we're going to continue to look at. One of the things that's made it challenging to revisit what we had before was that a lot of the people that were working in the Sacramento area have now gone to remote work. A lot of those were state workers that we saw as great riders and longtime riders, and they're still working in a remote capacity. So in some ways, some of that market has changed. What we chose to do was to, have this longer train that went down all the way from Auburn all the way to San Jose, which we previously did not do. We only did have that service on the weekends. Now we're providing it every day of the week with the hopes of enabling those that maybe are still working further down in the Bay Area an opportunity to come down, maybe do 3 or 4 hours down in the Bay, depending on where they're going, and then be able to make their same trip back home up all the way as far as Auburn. So we're going to continue to look at that. Once we have the next series of surveys, please give us your comments, your feedback, and we can always evaluate and see what makes sense.
Thanks, Leo. It looks like another comment has come in the chat. It's not quite a question, but it's more of a comment, noting that people who commute to work do have time constraints, which obviously we want to get people to where they want to go on time. That's our objective, and everything we do is to get people from point A to point B, with good on-time performance, of course. As well, I think the other comment in there is that vacationers do have luggage, so that can sometimes slow down people as they're getting on and off the train. And we want to just be mindful of that we need to be able to allow our customers, I guess, to bring along board what they need to do. And
Right.
Regarding bus service. Okay, thank you for the clarification. So that's regarding bus service.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that is something that we look at too, even for the Sacramento to South Lake Tahoe connection. It wasn't necessarily perfect just because, we did have to change over to a different type of equipment. However, there are a lot of incentives currently out there for, zero emissions fleet. So there could be a potential for maybe having a certain line. For example, if we're looking for a certain line of AC transit, then maybe that line can be a different type of set of equipment. We are looking at that for El Dorado Transit as we, work with them to see what's the next generation fleet. We're going to take some of those things into consideration. That's a great point.
Do we have any other questions for our panelists, or any other comments you would like to make? I know that I want to just thank Joel and Camille and Leo, and also Mimi, who has been wonderfully posting links in our chat for everyone to take a look at. I want to thank them for joining us tonight to share information about our business plan and all of the topics in it. We're a team, and we each have a role to play, and I'm so glad that we all work together so well so we can give this presentation for everybody. And we're so grateful for the people who have attended this evening. And if you have any questions that pop into your head after this is done, we will be posting these, all 3 workshops, on our YouTube channel. So you can take a look there, and also submit your comments by tomorrow. The deadline will be then, and we would love to hear from you and be able to share your feedback with our board and with the rest of the staff so that we can continue to improve our service. Okay. Oh, looks like there's one more question. Okay. And it says the Auburn schedule does make a day too long for the Bay Area commute. The old schedule is much better. Would love a change to it. Comment noted. Your sentiment is shared by others, so we will bring that back to the team and let them know.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to sign off now. I don't think we have any other questions. So again, visit capitalcorridor.org and look for our business plan if you would like to read the draft in detail. And thank you so much for having us this evening. One more question. Okay. And someone else who agrees with the comment for the Auburn schedule. Got it. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Good night.